Okay, let's play some damn shit. China. Street boy. I fucked up a little bit. Suck my slut. Don't even think about it, slut. Hormone. Come on, you hormone. Come on, you hormone. Come on, you hormone. Come on, you hormone. That slut. Come on, you slut that slut. Come on, you slut that slut. Ooh, you slut that whore. I knew he was gonna do that fucking shit. Fuck. Stupid! I just eared your root. Like cutting off your right ear, slut.
Guess what? You gotta treat them with respect.
Stupid. He took around in the stupid machine. Let me cash real quickly. Suck my slut.
I don't care if you think other Christians are Christians. I brought up neighboring nations. I did. That's what I'm talking about. And as it turns out, the Good Samaritan doesn't actually fix the problem.
Oh, I better get out of here, or else she's gonna donkey kong the fuck out of me. Those nights are really starting to fucking piss me off.
So, and guess what? 6 chapters further.
You gotta put your heart on the line.
But that doesn't mean that
Out of reach.
what it does mean is
God damn it.
Guys, I won't waste your time. Practice what I preach. Cause look at me, such a journey. Again, what that can be. Like in the sport. Depends on the prize and knowing where the rules they lie. To make a long story short. Baby, I can make you feel good. I can make you feel good. Hey, I'm bleeding wrong. Baby, I can make you feel good. I can make you feel good. This whole so strong. I can make you feel good. I can make you feel good.
Damn! I could have dicked up his whore. Damn! Jesus Christ.
they could still be
Now fuck up and overload this.
Yeah, because God
Jesus
in the Old Testament
Christ.
gave the same exact command, and then it also said, hey, you can enslave
Jesus
them.
fucking
And
goddamn
what
Christ.
did Jesus say about when Moses? Because you're also assumption, and I think this goes on based on what you believe or what.
Yeah, you're about to bring up Matthew 19 when Jesus says that it wasn't God's original intention to allow you to have divorce. Moses said that you can divorce, but I say to you that you can't get a divorce unless in the case of infidelity.
Jesus fucking
goddamn
Christ. Jesus fucking goddamn Holy Ghost Christ.
Jesus is an idiot. You don't even understand what Jesus was doing.
Oh,
The reason why
Christ.
Jesus can say that about divorce, but can't say about any other law, is because there's a contradiction in the Old Testament that you don't know about because you haven't read it. In Malachi, God says that I hate divorce. Jesus knew about this. Other rabbis knew about this contradiction. Jesus squared the contradiction by saying, hey, originally God didn't like divorce. He allowed you, actually he said Moses, but he didn't God. He allowed you to get a divorce because of the hardness of your hearts, knowing that later in Malachi, God said, I hate divorce. So I actually disagree with Jesus' interpretation of these passages. I don't believe that was God's original intention to wean them off of divorce, because elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible, he says the exact fucking opposite. He says you're going to follow this law code forever. Deuteronomy chapter 30.
Jesus fucking
You want to read
Christ.
it?
Jesus goddamn fucking Christ.
What do you want to read?
Deuteronomy 30, which disagrees with Jesus. Moreover, the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, in order that you may live. Now, when is this magical period where God circumcises the hearts of all the people? You've probably heard of it. It might be, I don't know, you might consider it part of Jeremiah 31.
It's time Janet has Uzi arms him. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my fucking dick. Suck my motherfucking dick. Jesus.
You didn't like
When is the period where God circumcises the hearts of all the people in order for them to love the Lord with all their heart and all their soul? When is that going to happen?
Wait, are you saying that are you comparing the commandment to the idea that God's going to allow it?
Nope. I'm asking you about verse 6.
God damn
said,
it.
Moreover, the Lord
God
your
damn
God
it.
will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love the Lord your
God
God with all your
fucking
heart and all your
damn
soul.
it.
According to the Hebrew Bible, and even in the New Testament, when
God
is this period
fucking
supposed to happen?
damn it. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
I can give you the answer if you don't know it.
Jesus fucking
No,
Christ.
I don't even know what point you're trying to make.
You don't have to know my point. I'm asking you a question about verse 6. It's an easy answer. When is this
Jesus
supposed to happen?
fucking Christ. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ.
When they'll just love God.
Yeah, because God has circumcised their hearts.
Fucking
When is that?
Christ.
You can't be your heart
Jesus
can't be
fucking
completely
goddamn
circumcised
fucking
until
Holy Ghost fucking
free from the
Christ.
flesh. I don't understand the point.
And when is God going to do all of this?
After judgment.
Jesus
Here
fucking
you go. One time for now. Got it. You got it. You finally, you did it. You got there. Okay. So, you don't know my point. Maybe if you stop trying to guess my point and just read the passage, you'd figure it out. Verse 8.
There's nothing.
Then you shall again obey the Lord, observing all of his commandments that I'm commanding you today. So, what it says in Deuteronomy 30 is,
Jesus
in the
goddamn
end, even in the
fucking
very end,
goddamn
when God
Christ.
circumcises the hearts, Jeremiah 31, Ezekiel 36, when God does this and changes the hearts of the people, then you will
Goddamn
again
fucking
obey
Christ.
all of these commandments that I'm commanding you today. That includes
Goddamn
Deuteronomy
Christ.
24, the law of divorce, which means Jesus was just fucking
Goddamn
wrong.
fucking
He's a
Christ.
gook that didn't read the Hebrew Bible.
Jesus goddamn Christ.
I mean that's fine. I mean you can attack Jesus and you can say he's
Fucking
wrong, but by
Christ.
doing that, when you say that,
fucking
your
goddamn
argument then becomes we're not
fucking
talking
Christ.
to Christians anymore because Christians follow what Jesus taught.
There we go. He can't stop himself. He can't address the actual topic. It's crazy. My point's very clear. I made a point about the Hebrew Bible, namely that Jesus is fucking wrong. The Hebrew Bible, the God of the Hebrew Bible, says that you're going to follow these laws forever. That means the God of the Hebrew Bible thinks that these laws are okay forever and don't need to be changed, which means the law that allows you to do slavery is a good law, and it's good forever. That's all it means. That means the New Testament authors are idiots that couldn't read their own Hebrew Bible. That's what it means.
God fucking
Right, so
damn
you're
it.
basically the argument you're making now is you're better at interpreting the Hebrew Bible than the Israelites themselves, the Jewish
No, you
themselves
did.
that lived in the
You did it. No, you did it for me. That's what you missed. That was the beautiful thing, is you interpreted it. See,
Get that goddamn
this is
mission
the thing.
son of a bitch.
This is the. I agree with the first century Jews. They killed Jesus. That's what they would have fucking done if they had read the Old Testament. The Old Testament, Deuteronomy 13 and Deuteronomy 18, says you must kill the false prophets, which means the first century Jews did the right fucking thing when they killed Jesus. He was a false prophet, bruh. He didn't even read this book. This book clearly states that in the end, your interpretation, not mine, you said that this event is happening at the end. And it says in verse 8, when this happens, you shall again obey the Lord and release all of his commandments that I command you today. Every commandment in Deuteronomy was given in one day by Moses shortly before he died and shortly before Joshua took over and led them into the promised land. So what that means is in the end, according to your fucking interpretation, they're going to be following these laws forever. Congrats! You read one verse in the Hebrew Bible. We can do more. You want more?
I don't think you can escape the point, though.
What point?
The point that, number one, the prompt that you have on the screen that is supposed to entice people to come in is based on your own claims, has no moral grounds.
I didn't make any claims.
God damn it.
Did I ever say, did I make a moral claim at all? What moral claim have I made?
God fucking damn it.
What moral claim? What moral claim have I made?
Fuck it.
What moral? What's the moral claim?
Oh, he just dicked him a fucking bone.
So calling somebody a pervert, you could say that's a moral claim because you're judging somebody's character, you're judging, say, their behavior. But when we talk about moral claims are usually very specific, like, sexual assault is wrong, stabbing somebody is wrong. They're actually moral claims. These are blanket statements. Now, these blanket statements are easy because you get to supply the moral claims, and then I show you where your Bible contradicts your own moral claims. That's what I do. I've never once said that, this whole live stream, I never said that slavery was wrong. I never said that sexual assault was wrong. I never even said that war brides were wrong. I didn't say any of these things were wrong. You said it. That's the fun of this live stream. I never once, never do I have to make a definitive statement about why any particular action is wrong, because I can have you do it for me. And that's why I have so much fun with this. It's fantastic. So I'm going to give you, trust me, between the two of us, I'm the only one that spread the context, that's for sure. So checkmate, I'm going to give you the opportunity, because I'm charitable, because you have a cool chess name, to let you checkmate me by having the last 2 minutes. What do you think? I won't interrupt you. You can do whatever weird pivot you wanted to do earlier, and I'll let you have it, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. I don't know why I thought I was going to do that. All right. Friends, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to read some super chats, and we're going to... hey, we got a bunch of them left to read. So and by the way, thanks for getting the pretzel meter up. We had a good time with the pretzel meter. I apologize that the text is goofy. It's on me. I got to work on the code for my pretzel meter, so it'll be what's the word we're looking for? Square, even, not look like crap. But we're going to get there. It's functional. It does function. Right? So we got somewhere. Nevertheless, and y'all did it. By the way, for those who weren't here, the way this pretzel meter works is I've got a couple words, that I put into some text boxes on my software, and my software is literally reading the fucking chat to figure out if the chat thinks that the guest is cooked. And when the chat submits enough of the magic words, the pretzel meter goes up. It's fucking amazing. And we've got at least 2 burnt offerings for Doug tonight. At least 2 of them. So
Come on, slut.
I think the pretzel meter had a pretty successful run tonight. That's just my opinion. Nevertheless,
God damn it.
I really appreciate y'all being here. Y'all saw me. I am working through some changes and some whatnot in my software. So we had some audio glitches here.
God
I appreciate
damn
y'all being patient with me. I firmly believe that once I get all the kinks worked out in this new software, it's going to be a real game changer. And we can get rid of a whole bunch of other software packages and just run it all in one package.
Fucking Christ.
For those in the streaming community, this will be kind of a big deal. But in order to debug it, I have to use it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Jesus.
you have to figure out where stuff breaks. My apologies. That's how engineering goes. You gotta use some shit. Jay, right, the soundboard.
Fucking
You're right.
Christ.
He's having some problems. I gotta go back to the drawing board on the soundboard. I think I've got a couple of. There's gonna be a couple of functions in the soundboard code.
Move, you fucking slut.
I think it's creating a couple accidental loops that need to be there. And I think there's some. I have to double check. I think there's some code in that soundboard that is probably dead at this point. Like it's old. Need to remove it. Remove it all together. So it doesn't accidentally run. Get triggered. But nevertheless.
Wow, put your black ass for Stalin. I ain't talking Joseph Stalin either. I'm talking about Stalin.
Guest room is working. The audio is mostly working. But I think the thing that I need to do, I got a couple things. I did some work today. I tried to put the guest room and the audio panel on the shell layer of the website so that it's always active. Every time you refresh the page, it won't do anything to your audio or your
Suck my slut.
It's not quite working. When I click on other stuff on the site, it's still kind of fucking up some stuff on my master shell. So I got to work on that and get it completely isolated so that when I do stuff on the website, it doesn't fuck up my audio. We're gonna get there. It's one thing at a time. But scenario, maybe I'll go a different route. Maybe I'll master shell. So I got to work on that and get it completely isolated so that when I do stuff on the rest of the website, it doesn't fuck up my audio. We're gonna get there. It's one thing at a time. But worst case scenario, maybe I'll go a different route. Maybe I'll create like another. I'll create a second layer and just do like a fucking iframe and pull it in. Listen, we're gonna read some super chats, y'all, and I really appreciate being here. We got a whole bunch to get through.
I see a dick in your future. I see a dick.
Got a whole bunch. Actually, we have less super chats than we had on Unapologetic, so we should be able to get through it actually. Friends, give me 1 second. I'm going to scroll back to the super chats from the beginning of the stream that we didn't have a chance to finish, and I'm going to get those first. But I am also going to remove all the ones that I've already read. There we go.
God damn it.
So much stuff going on in my face. Hey,
God fucking damn it.
Thank you so much for the $20 super chat, my friend. The premise one, my life is a banana split.
God fucking damn it. God fuck it.
I love it. Premise 2. Religion is the pieces of pecans and pistachios sprinkled on top. Conclusion, I fucking hate religious nuts. Oh, P.S. I ripped this off from Mr. Peabody, Buckeye for Doug, and Horse Rule.
I see a dick in your future. I see a dick.
Tomorrow.
I see a dick in your future. I see a dick.
The P.O. box, I guess we'll call it. So I'll be mailing out your tortoise mug tomorrow. You should have it. Usually it's about 2 to 3 days delivery with like UPS. So you should have it pretty soon, friend. And Artwood says, yep, it's a crime to get involuntary rock hard. True. Enough of a crime that I should gouge out my eye when it happens.
If I can just dick up your damn bones, if I can just dick up those fucking bones.
And Paul does talk about not causing others to stumble. But you're right.
Come on,
If
dick
he says
sucker.
it is better to gouge out your eyeball than to look at a woman in lust. Seems to me that walking around naked can be a problem. It's wild that we spent so much time arguing about that. And base to Shara, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the I'm running out of ways to call checkmate 004 a fucking idiot. Well, there are some ways, to be fair. I can't say that I have all of them.
God damn it.
But I can definitely
God
say
fucking damn it.
that, you know,
Oh, fucking Christ.
maybe I can come up with some new ones. I think maybe even during that discussion we might have come up with a couple of phrases that
Fucking
are
Christ.
trotting down a lesser trotted path.
Fucking
Maybe.
Christ.
Steve Wright. Thank you for the super chat. Long
Fucking
song.
Christ.
Song, The Streak, 1974. Comedy song by Ray. Oh, I love The Streak. Ray Stevens was great. The Pirate song was good. My favorite might still be the Haircut song. Mississippi Squirrel, classic. But yeah, Ray Stevens was a classic. Hit and rallied a long run of folks streaking ball games in public. I think Ray Stevens came from the old school of comedy from the South, where it was still kind of vaguely religious. I wonder what kind of stuff he'd make today. Tina says, if you're watching a great movie, would you turn it off?
Ooh, I finally dicked up that fucking plane.
Of course not. From Ricky Gervais, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I've used it myself. Like, just because something's going to end doesn't mean you don't want to enjoy it in the meantime. Obviously, you want to enjoy it in the meantime. And good question says, M's song is awesome.
Yeah, I accept the draw. I couldn't kick his ass. He was too smart. He was not some dumbass level 700 or 800 rating.
They don't like when...
So I'd be a good sport, not a poor sport bitch.
I understand that. But I have to say, of all the AI-generated songs I've ever heard, that fucking song for M's hits hard. It hits fucking hard. I love it. And Game Master, go to the Async Network, by the way. If you want to go to the Async Network, it's pretty fucking rad. In fact, I've got a website here.
Fucking Christ. Fucking Christ.
With my audio board, yeah, I'll do it later. Anyways, Game Master says, since a sin is a violation of God's will, and it wasn't a sin in the garden, but it is now, sounds like the caller thinks God changes his mind. Yeah, it's crazy to say God doesn't change his mind, God doesn't think, God doesn't make decisions, and all wild, but God said this then, and then said something else later.
So fucking goddamn Christ. So fucking
The Israelites
Christ.
should make a nation out of Moses. And then,
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know the text says he changed his mind, but did he really change his mind? Obviously, it just means that he allowed it to happen, right?
Jesus.
And Quick Hand thank you says, one of my favorite phrases, it's not even hard. Here, I'll read it for you. Rock hard for Doug. Horse rule, horse true. Listen, I do say that a lot. I'll read it for you is a good line. I also know the line I used to say a lot was you want to read the Bible with me? I don't say it as much. It's a good line though.
Now
But
fuck
you're
up
right.
a little bit so I can dick up that
Not
fucking
even hard. I'll read it for you. I do like though. Maybe I could put that on a
Move, you slut.
Evil Banana Man says,
Move!
has not hardened Justin's heart against the trolls yet. I don't always recognize the trolls when they're here. I try to be as lenient as I can in case they're a real person, because we've heard some doozies. But yeah, I don't always catch them. And from Spain says old Catholics are kind of the ponies. They're ridiculous with bad councils. Mel Gibson did sort of one. That's true. My mother, who was a Catholic, was the opposite. She thought Vatican II was amazing. Big fan of Pope John Paul. I always agreed with her. I thought it was a good move. If the church wants to stay relevant, they needed to do that. Cedar and Sound, my friend, thank you for the super chat idea. Kenneth Copeland, hash out counter timer. Just an image of his crazy eyes as he got interviewed by that reporter. Eyes bulge as clock ticks. This is not a bad idea, Cedar. I do love some of his facial expressions. I don't know how he's still alive, though. Hold on. I know one thing. These fucking Christians are in Copeland. That's fucking for sure. But he's got to be like 1 foot in the grave at this point.
God fucking damn it.
It was nearing 100. He looks like the skin is falling off his goddamn face. He's 89.
God fucking damn it.
And still living. Shit. There was a pastor not too far from where I'm at who claimed that he was a prophet of the times and that God was allowing him to live so long because the rapture wasn't going to happen. He was told by God the rapture wasn't going to happen after you die. It's going to happen before you die. So when he got like 99, he's like, yeah, God's keeping me here because he said the rapture's not going to happen until it's going to happen before I die. And then he hit 100 and died. So I guess he was a false prophet. Shirley Temples is just a nice leg. Also, well, Shirley, I appreciate that. I haven't had a leg compliment in a long time. I'm not even wearing pants today. And Hunter Girl again says you could literally just get bees. Bees maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bees though.
God damn it.
Here's a head in the gym. Thoughts and prayers that Doug will harden my bod rather than my heart. Simply sweaty for sure. Oh, simply sweaty for sure is good. And Cedar, hey, I hope you have a good time in the gym. We've been here so long. We went to the gym at 7:13 my time, which means you're probably out of the gym by now. So hope you had a great workout. And Flock Measure says, in the new Masters of the Universe movie, Trapjaw looked a lot like Kenneth Copeland. Oh, fuck, really? Kenneth Copeland? I never heard of Trapjaw is who? Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay. You can see that resemblance. Oh, Bethos is here. Arn. Sorry. Real name. Arn says, Bethos, does he never sleep?
You goddamn motherfucker.
I don't. I'm trying. I am working on it. I'm attempting to work on it. I'm not there yet. Soon. But I don't sleep much. Actually, fucking M.
Goddamn motherfucker.
I have 15 hours to go.
M
I was supposed to be asleep, but I was having some...
Kiss that goddamn night goodbye.
Ems and I both have the insomnia, but Ems will sleep like 2 hours a week, and he sleeps standing up while he's doing surgery.
Christ.
So it's a little bit different. He trained himself like a horse to sleep up while he's at work. Gargoyle. Oh, sorry. I think I was supposed to read that one. Coffee. If I follow all the rules in the Bible, I'd be in jail. Mods be for gods, and I think the badass mods need a shout out. Thank you, mods, by the way. Fucking mods out here are amazing, by the way. And to be fair, there are some occasions where there are some people in the chat that really need to be modded pretty hard. Gargo says Mary was 12. I should say it all, Creeper. Well, see, that's interesting. So, okay, this is a fun topic. I don't. We don't know for sure she was 12. What we do know is in the very influential and well-read Proto-Evangelism of James, Proto-Evangelion, or the Infancy Gospel of James, whatever you want to call it. Mary's age is given, and she's about 12 when they figure out she's got to get married off, and probably about 13 when she gets married off with Joseph. And the impetus was she was serving at the temple, and because she's like basically an orphan, serving at the temple, and she's at the age where like puberty's coming. And you can't have a flow of blood, in the temple. And so like, hey, we gotta get her out of here. Gotta go. And so they're like, she gotta marry somebody, and ends up being Joseph by the will of the Lord. So that's kind of how we got to this idea that she was 12 or 13. But that's not in the Bible, so you gotta be careful with that one a little bit when you tell Christians that Mary was 12 or 13. That's not a definitive thing if you're a Christian. It's really true for most of the Catholics. But if you're not Catholic and you don't believe in the proto-evangelism of James, and a lot of them would say, I don't believe that. Steve Harvey's possible. See a friend says, God revealed to me that I am the one and only true prophet, and that I must shack up with everyone's girlfriends and wives. Actually, you'd be surprised how many cult leaders have decided that once they have control over the cult, that they get to sleep with everybody, right? That seems to be the typical benefit is like money and sex and power. It's no different than government or business, I suppose. So let's see. There we go. From Gargo King again.
God damn it.
If it comes up, there we go. Does God wear clothes? Is he ashamed of his body? So this is a fair question. God seems to have a body in the Bible. I'm very proud of it, actually. There's a couple passages you could interpret as
motherfucking shit.
Being about the Lord's member. Depends on how you read the passage. Franciscus Capulu and others have pointed out that there's some instances where this could be the case. I'm undecided, I don't know. J. Penitentiary, I think it was said, if it's not shameful to be naked with your spouse, why was it shameful for Adam and Eve to be naked? There were no other humans in the garden with them. I mean, yeah. It's the whole thing. It's basically just shameful, right, to be naked, which is why they refer to being naked as like uncovering my shame. Right? We even have laws. Hold on, let me find it. Exodus 20 has a crazy law.
Move, you slut. Move, you motherfucking slut.
Okay. I always forget how crazy this one is.
Move, you motherfucking slut.
All right. But if you make for me an altar of stone, do not build it of hewn stones, for if you use a chisel upon it, you profane it. You shall not go up by steps to my altar, so that your nakedness may not be exposed on it. God is such a fucking prude. He makes the priest basically wear loincloths. So that the altar, the fucking thing made of stones, is not exposed to the priest's genitals. But it's not shameful to be naked, guys. It's not shameful to be naked. Okay. Yeah, that's what they're telling me. They haven't read this book. I can always tell, I immediately know who I'm talking to if they have or have not read this book. I love people like the last guest who absolutely haven't read this book, but they're really confident that they have. Steve Wright says, final nail in the coffin, best by our band, Pontius Pilate and the Nail-Driven Five. I've never heard them. But I'll check them out. Appreciate the suggestion. And also from Joey. Joey says, former worship leader here. Oh, fuck. Oh, congrats on getting out. That feeling is manufactured. I know. I did it. Forgive me. Joey, thanks for being a member. Beautiful dog. Yeah. If you're in church ministry,
God damn it.
What can we do to motivate people to accept the gospel? And then you devise plans, preaching, songs, activities to motivate people towards the gospel. And you do that because in your mind you think that getting people saved is the greatest good because it gets people into heaven. Right? Going to hell's bad. That's why we can say abortion's good. Anyways, God forgot to make some indigenous populations ashamed of being naked apparently, and doctors who can remove labor pain are going against God's punishment too. This is a fair point. Well, it's presumed that those other tribes,
God damn it,
like broke off God's people, they should have done something new.
Jesus
but on
Christ.
the labor, you would think God would be very pissed off at the epidural. But no. Apparently God's curse just defeated by a fucking long needle. That's all it took. God sounds like a weak-ass punk at this point. An ordinary skeptic thinks of being a member for 6 months. A haiku dog gives birth to fours. his solid past made for us.
Yeah.
Are drafted in. Schism is real.
Oh,
Fuck.
Call Walmart tomorrow. They said you have some meds to be
Walgreens.
This time. I think.
Okay. No, you
They
do.
can? Fuck, this one this time. Oh no. We're in trouble. We're gonna have another like Vatican II schism. Hold on. I think it's supposed to say the ministry, but it says the ministry of Doug. Hey, good name. I kind of love how the Bible says the Son of Man. It just sounds blatantly man-made. True. Mark for Doug, simple for Sharon, and PPFP, perfectly pegged for pegging. That's a fantastic. I like PPFP. It's a shame that we couldn't do PPPP. That'd be fun. But we had to come up with something for PPPP. Cedar and Sound coming again says there's this early 2000s punk pop band inspired by Doug called Psalm 41. Justin Explainer. 41. Yeah, that's the case. So here's the deal. For the millennials among us who, who listen to some rock, might have heard of this small band from Ontario, Canada called Psalm 41.
God damn it.
Heard of them. That being said, was incredibly popular in the late 90s.
Fucking damn it.
Unfortunately, the lead singer had some alcohol issues, so got for a little bit. He was married to Avril Lavigne for a little while too. He believed that shit. But he was too much of an alcoholic. Obviously, they got divorced. Nevertheless, their albums are fucking amazing. I see them today for one of the few bands from that time period where like I own most of their albums and I will fucking listen to them. They released a really funny meme song back in 2015 or 16. Hold on, let me see what it is. It was funny. It was a single, and they released it in 2016. And it took me by surprise. It was full of all kinds of memes. I'm like, I don't know how much money they had to pay these meme people to use memes in their music video, but I thought it was funny. Nevertheless, Beth says M's love. Oh my God, M's love. We all love M's. The voice. Beth says, I get it. The voice. M's voice is magic. And as an argument as David would. Really? Really? You know, it's funny that they want to bring up David Wood. Maybe I should have let them use the argument. If people don't know, they want to bring up David Wood because they listen. You can be devoid of like empathy and love, but you can become a Christian and then still exhibit those characteristics, even though you don't actually have them, because the Bible teaches you how to do that. And that's one of David Wood's shticks. I used to be a sociopath. I am a sociopath. I used to do horrible things. I tried to kill my father with a hammer. I say I forget all the details. But I became a Christian. I'm all better now, even though I have no feelings. You know, I don't believe it, but that's his shit. And so that's where that conversation was about to go. Bethel says, would I like to say, but I have to work. Yes, I know I'm a jerk. You're not a jerk. Surely, love that smirk. Rock hard for Doug. Simple left for Sharon. Gay for Justin and for Ems. Fuck yeah. I made a prompt designer and switcher last couple days, and you can literally whatever prompt is on the screen and just lay templates over it. And I think I've got some pretty cool templates. I'm saddened though that there was one that I wasn't able to use in the software a little bit too late. But there's a couple in here that I really like that would have been cool for June. Like this one. Although the letters need the color. But so we could have had some cool Friday prompts, or at least designs. But nevertheless, we've got some opportunities now to design some fun prompts in real time.
God fucking damn it.
What prompt did I have up here just a second ago? I already forgot which one I fucking had loaded up. I need to actually save these. You can save to your like favorites list.
Holy goddamn
but I
ghost.
already forgot which one I was using. I should have recorded or wrote down which was one. Let's see, what about...
Holy
we
god.
can just do the original.
Shit, holy ghost.
Which is... It should be this guy? Is that the one? That's not the fucking original one that I had like a week ago. Oh well, it's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, I'll figure out which one we were using earlier.
Shit, holy ghost.
And we'll get back on track.
Shit, holy ghost.
Kind of cool. I don't mind that one. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't know if I love it yet. But we'll I'll get to the design board and design a couple. That one's not bad actually. Design a couple templates that are a little more pleasing to the eye. Nevertheless. Appreciate y'all being here. Async. Hey, speaking of the devil, huge L for denial. Baby paste. For fuck's sake, Justin. I am sorry, Async. This is on me. This is absolutely on me. I did not mean to miss baby paste. The opportunity came, and I moved in that direction. It's totally on me. This makes good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Weird how Christians want to know what the victim did to deserve being ripped open. 605. True. And that usually is the shtick, right? When God does horrific shit in the Bible, Christian goes right into, oh, here's why it was okay for God to do that. They did this horrible thing. That's why I start out with, is it always wrong to do X, Y, and Z? And they always say, yes, it's always wrong to do that. Oh, tell me about this time. Binary Ghost says, which God are you referring to? Old Testament or New Testament? There are two different gods. Not if you're a real Christian. I was going to be honest. Listen, I don't think... If you read and believe every word of the New Testament, I don't think you're going to come to the conclusion that Jesus wasn't somehow divine. That's how I feel about it. Nevertheless, even if you don't think Jesus is divine, the God of the New Testament and the God of the Old Testament would be the same fucking dude. It'd be Yahweh. Mabus, thank you for the super chat. What's the difference between a frog and a horny toad? The frog says ribbit, ribbit, and the horny toad says rubber, rubber. I knew that was fucking coming. I knew that was coming. Beautiful. Beautiful. Output coupler. Amazing name. I've not seen that name around here yet. Pretzel software tip. Add a decay rate and or per chatter cooldown, so it doesn't fill up just from the background noise without a super high threshold. This is actually a really good idea. In fact, I'm going to write a note on my notepad and say add to pretzel meter, say a timeout period. I'm going to call it a timeout period. Period that prevents. There we go. Prevents a single chatter from running it up. That's actually a good idea. I like that. That makes it more inclusive of the entire chat. So yeah, that's what we'll do. Great idea, by the way. A great idea. I'll get the design worked out. Can Anorexic, I'm going to throw out your question and continue. Feels like grounds for the caller to be thrown out of the call, metaphorically though. True. It is interesting when you know they heard the question. They paused, they heard the question, like, fuck it, I'm moving on. How are we going to have a conversation like this? 15 Blows says they were covered in a spiritual cloth that went away when they sinned. Duh, it's the same argument as always. It was spiritual. True. You can always count on the answer to the solution being it was spiritual or words don't mean words. I mean, come on, obviously. Words can never mean words. If words mean words, then we're just gonna have a serious problem. So let's try to make sure that words absolutely don't mean words. And Zach Penetroff. Oh, sorry. T-Town.
I fuck up in that goddamn night right here.
Arguing with you about Hebrew. I know. It was
Whore right here, so I can
I
kick
was
him
curious
in the
how
fucking
far
face.
he was going to get into it, like how many dumb things he was going to say before he said something. I don't want to. I would like to prevent having a nonsensical Greek or Hebrew competition, because the audience typically they don't know the language, so it's kind of boring to do that. Nevertheless, I was a little bit intrigued to see how many weird things he was going to say about the Hebrew language, assuming he didn't know anything about it. Zach Penetroff thinks that nakedness is a sin because God can't see naked people. It's his one weakness. He made it a sin because he fears us.
Fucking Christ.
I like it. I kind of like it. Okay. Hodo, hey, thank you for the $5 super chat, friend. So I wonder if we have a word for somebody that says, do as I say, not as I do, and we do, and that is a hypocrite. So, I guess most of these callers were hypocrites, and so is God.
Jesus.
Gretchen, also the ace in every. We gotta cook this Team Danny. Listen, I don't even know if he'll qualify as a team, like a team moving in. I think that's generous. I maybe I'm wrong. I think Team Danny is generous for that one. This individual is not even team level. Maybe not even Shane. I don't know. It's more like pawn shop. I don't know. This is cheap to pick up. Simeon Energy, actually, pawn shops aren't really that cheap, unfortunately. Simeon Energy says, I wanted to get your opinion on an anti-Bible recently, but if you've seen or read this one, it's Thomas Nelson's KJV. I've been fighting choices. Yeah, so I'm actually familiar with the Nelson Study Bible, and to be fair, I was going to get it, I would get it in KJV, and it's not bad. I wouldn't say it would ever be categorized as like an academic study Bible. It's not bad. Maybe just a hair below the ESV Study Bible. The ESV Study Bible is trying to run the middle of the fence between being like still helping you be a Christian, but also trying to give you some good academic notes. But Kurt says Jared sounds like a material girl living in a material world. Is that old enough for you to get reference? It fucking is. I appreciate the Madonna reference. So if you give me a reference, I don't know, from the fucking 80s, I might actually get it. Because remember, I'm like a million years old. So I stopped paying attention to pop culture around the time some of y'all was born. Sorry. It is what it is. Yes, everyone gets old. We're all going to get old. Booga says, funny content idea, Bible verse or chapter tier list. Oh, I could do that. Do like a ranking tier list with
Fucking Christ.
with the people or with the crowd, the audience. We could rank. I think it would be good. I could put together a voting system. Not what I swear, because I'm tired of being protection line. True. The Bible just doesn't say that. Doesn't say that God removed his protection. It says he caused X, Y, and Z. So when they say he removed his protection, where does it say that in the Bible? Show me the verse. I need to see it. I need to see the verse. Oh, well. From Douglas Zwick, a guy named Doug. As a guy named Doug, I'd love an explanation of the whole Doug meme in this community. Thank you, Justin. And also rock hard for myself. Okay, Douglas. What you need to do is go back to my main channel, Deconstruction Zone, and go to Pet Rock for Jesus. I've done two of them now. And what happened was, a long time ago, I wanted to do a funny live stream where I was like, listen, my fucking Pet Rock is as powerful as your Jesus. And I took a rock from the backyard, I fucking put some googly eyes on it, and the audience named it Doug, and we had a really fun live stream. It was fucking hilarious. My only regret is it was before I was doing horizontal streams. Now I'm doing both. And so you have to watch it in vertical. But it's on the Nintendo and it's a lot of fun. So go check it out. That's the origin of Doug. So it just took off. I never knew it was going to be a thing. Had no idea. It just happened, and we ran with it, and it's been fun. So that's kind of the origin. Johannes is not really with the reasoning behind its moral code.
I curse the Holy Ghost to hell. I will stop winning for some fucking games. I curse the Holy Ghost.
But does he have the desire? I don't think so. I don't think he does. And Mike B. then, with a $20 super chat, thank you so much, Mike. I don't think any of these fuckers have ever watched the show. That's the crazy thing. They'll get in here, and they'll make definitive statements about how I don't know the Bible, I'm not using proper exegesis, I don't know history. I was like, oh no! You haven't been around, buddy. They come on not knowing objective versus subjective. I know, that's the painful part. That's basic shit. You gotta know that shit. They don't even know that shit. They're all baby unalivers and condone rape. What's wrong with these fucking people? They're brainwashed into a religion, and there's not much to do about it. They grew up in a cult, you know? Hobson makes his praise to the 15 pence for being the center pillar of our faith between the two stones, Doug and Sharon. Listen, I don't know much about what page you're referring to, but yes, Doug and Sharon are the rock pages, the firm foundation, and the pillar of our faith, for sure. No doubt about that. It's just pathological at this point. And Pharaoh starts us in the purpose of carrying the old kid in the head. Something cultural, disarming, hygiene, just simulation, is there any conduct? Okay. It is tough. You'll find most study Bibles, they either don't have a note on it, or they don't know for sure. And a lot of commentaries that disagree on the same thing. That being said, my understanding of the passage is always that the clipping of the nails was hygiene, the shaving of the head was hygiene. The reason is these are foreign women. They're basically considered unclean. Right? So the changing of the clothes, the shaving of the head, the clipping of the these were all for ritual purity. Right, before you could marry an Israelite. Even in just engaging in intercourse with a woman, theoretically would make you unclean. So the line that they drew around ritual purity was pretty strong line. But I'll give you a kind of a flavor of what a lot of the study Bibles will say. In Deuteronomy 21 in the New Oxford Analytic Bible. Let's see. The procedure most likely originally applied to the Canaanite population. Female war captives routinely became concubines. This law accords such women dignity and protection against enslavement. The rituals provide both captive and captor means to effect a transition from one status to another. A full month is a full period of mourning. 30 days was a typical period of mourning. Even the Egyptians followed it. And as for Aaron and Moses, mourning, it is unclear whether the parents actually died in the war or lost her because of her captivity. The time to grieve implies legal respect for the female captive as a person. Go into her.
God damn it.
Approach her sexually. Consummation provides the legal means to become a husband. And that's it. Doesn't mention the ritual. That's what I did. It doesn't mention the cooking. So this is a tough one. In my opinion, is that it's about ritual cleanliness. This is my opinion. You will find others with other opinions. Golden Arms suggesting Gretchen is going to try to advocate for the topic of Genesis this Friday. Would love to call in and talk to you about the purpose dollar theme of Genesis this Friday. Hope to talk to you then. I have no idea what you mean by the purpose dollar theme. However, if you're a Christian and you want to talk about Genesis on Friday, hey, call in. Fuck, I don't care. I'll talk about the book of Genesis and I'll show you all the problems with it. And also from Mike B, thank you again. Says you
stupid motherfucker.
You can learn a few things from Justin. Oh, you're talking to me again. Thanks. Your God is immoral like you, and by the way, he's also imaginary too. Hello, he is very much imaginary. And I think that while this live stream is content, it does push some people into the direction of like, would a real God, if you're reading text honestly, would a real God do that shit? It's hard to fathom. It does stretch the imagination. Our point is, you've heard it from the first, you've heard it first from equals marriage. That is true, actually. Now, here's the funny part. All right, follow me here. The funny part is, according to Checkmate and according to the Bible, it's not wrong. That's roughly the equivalent. There's one passage that contradicts Exodus 21, Deuteronomy 21, about a woman having to marry her sexual assaulter. There's another passage, maybe it's Exodus, where I think it's Exodus, if you seduce or really assault a young woman, and it's found out,
you stupid motherfucker.
Whether or not the daughter's going to marry him or not. But yeah, traditionally in this time, that would you would assault a woman and she'd be yours quite often because now she's damaged. It's not always the case, but it happened. For example, Dinah and Shechem. In the story of Dinah and Shechem with Deuteronomy or Genesis.
Stupid motherfucker. Kiss one of those people. God damn it.
Where do we find Dinah in like the next scene? Oh, she's Shechem still. Oh, okay. Probably because they're gonna fucking get hitched. Yeah, Genesis 34. You read about Dinah and Shechem. Now it's possible that it was a consensual encounter, but the text doesn't really seem to read that way. Dan O'Connell says it just came in, and of course it's a slavery apologist. Good grief. These theists are repugnant. Yep. You're going to see that, Dan. A lot of slavery and a lot of assault essay apologists. And they have to do it. They have to contort into these pretzels in order to keep the religion. Ferdinand Perfect says this might be the most embarrassing, dishonest caller today. Every time Justin shows him wrong, he gets brain damage, Dunning-Kruger personified by truth. We do need, I apologize, I haven't done it yet, we're going to do another timer, or not, another counter for Christian brain rot syndrome. So we, Christian counter, add it to my notes. We're going to get a Christian brain rot timer going here. Counter going here. And Microside Quest says no one wants to sell themselves into that slavery. Being marginally better than starving to death is not the same as wanting to do it. This is true. Like no one No, like I'd love to not have freedom for a couple years. It's not a thing. Misha, listen, there's something for everybody, but it's not likely to happen. Misha, thank you for this 20-hour super chat, my friend, and for being a member. Late to the barbecue, but much enjoyment. Much enjoying Checkmate. Lord, trying so hard to pivot to more comfortable ground, just firmly and gently redirecting him to the actual topic, like he's a law pal. Rock Doug. Kick on him, Justin. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Checkmate's been waiting back in my TikTok guest box the whole time we've been reading super chat. It's been a while, actually. I have no idea why he's here. Damn it. Checkmate is the perfect... Checkmate, listen, all these super chats started coming in after you got up here. These are all for you. Is the perfect account name for a pigeon live chatting from atop a chessboard, shitting and squawking all over it.
Emotional
Christ.
Now you're not wrong. Async. Good to see you again, Gretchen J. You're going to have to hike the tolerance on the pretzel meter for when Golden Arm calls in on Friday. Chat going to be coming for him. Lamau must see YouTube. I got you, Gretch. I'll put it up like 300.
God.
And we'll see what happens. Maybe I could set like a running algorithm. I don't know. I'll find the sweet spot. I'll find the sweet spot. Maybe I need like an AI software to listen to the guests and determine if they're smart or dumb. And if they're dumb, we ump the ante a little bit. King Caesar, the super Justin is so bored, he's arguing Checkmate's position for him. I know. It makes things go faster when you help them with their argument, so you just get to the end of it so we can end this shit and move on to the good stuff. Like, why are we wasting all this time? I know the argument. I know it better than you do. Just get the shit going, you know? And Misha, with another super chat, oh my god, Justin, you are roasting Checkmate 004 too hard. He's absolutely charred. Doug's Cookout, Chef Justin, he got charred, for sure. There's just absolute charring going on. You saw the pretzel.
Oh my fucking god.
And from I'm a Big Cheat, forbidding divorce is demonstrably pro-slavery. It is marital slavery. That's a fair point. That is a fair fucking point. Huh. I never... I didn't look at it that way, but this is fucking true.
God damn it.
Holy shit. Okay. I'm going to put that one in my pocket and save that one for later. Thank you for that. As women were effectively chattel slaves to their husband and fathers, yeah. So telling a woman back in
dumbass
would have been tantamount to slavery. Makes sense. Perfect observation. And Binary Ghost says,
what the fuck? That was stupid.
Ever answer my first super chat?
I don't know how to split somebody in the checkmate with a knight and a bishop.
Super chat.
You stupid motherfucker.
If I go, I've got a search function now. I can go in here and just look up binary. So I put in BINARY, and I gotta do one more filter.
Stupid motherfucker.
We're gonna show all chats, and that came in under binary, and save. And it looks like there's a couple of them that came in, but much later. 11:15, 11:19, 11:27, 11:40, 11:52. So like right at the end of the live stream. I caught your earlier ones, the one at 9:11. I caught that one a while ago, and then the other one at 11. So 15 minutes before this string. It says this bullshit is still going on. Did he ever answer my first super chat? Which I did. The first super chat was here. I answered it 2 hours ago. It says, which God are you referring to, Old Testament or New Testament? There are two different gods. And I gave you the answer to that, and the answer is I don't think there are two different gods. I think that there's one God. And if you think that Jesus is a God, you might get the two gods, but there's still going to be the same problem. Right? Is that the God of Old Testament is still the same. We'll see. Binary Ghost says, this guy's voice does not fit his looks. Crazy what atheism does to you. Crazy that you couldn't get in the guest box and render an argument. Sorry. Binary Ghost giving me all his money because your audience is very sensitive. Maybe good might be bad. That's not what you were saying. I'm just joking, y'all. There's a reason this dude shows up in my algorithm. Yeah, because you like to watch atheist debaters cook Christians, apparently. If I had to wager a guess. Binary says, the rapture did already happen. You're insane. You're out of your fucking mind if you're a full preterist. Only 144,000 would be saved by it. Do you really think out of 8 billion people that you would be no, because the rapture didn't happen. It will never happen because this God doesn't exist. And Binary Ghost is giving me all his money tonight. If you were God, would you want to see a bunch of people's junk? Why? If you're God, like you don't have sexual urges, what the fuck do you care about? Why would God care? If you ever made anything, there are parts of what you made that you won't corrupt. Yeah, because we're humans. We have very limited powers. Like some things disgust us. Some things bring back bad memories. Some things can hurt us. Some things are just unpleasant visually. That's part of evolution. We evolve to like certain things. Pretty easy. But Binary Ghost, listen, you're welcome to send me all your super chat money. Not if you're a real Christian. I'm not. I'm an occultist. There is a stark difference in the gods of the Testaments and modern Protestantism is delusional, but they are lost otherwise. And so are you. Sorry, I don't have to tell you. If you believe in a God, you're lost. I don't care if you're in the occult. I don't care if you're in fucking some weird form of Satanism that really believes in Satan, or if you're a Christian. If you believe that any of these gods exist, you're out of your mind. Binary says, well, yeah, women have cooties. Everyone knows this. Checkmate atheist. Well, I can't argue with that. You know, women might have cooties. At least that's what I learned growing up. It may or may not be true. It is hard to tell. It's hard to tell. nevertheless, hey, give me a second. I'm going to get back to the rest of the super politics. I just wanted. Binary Ghost was really upset that I didn't already message or respond to his messages. So here we are, responding to all the messages. Let's see. I need to do my filter and just say show all the messages. Newest first. The ones that have not been displayed yet. Binary Ghost is still in here. Get rid of binary. There we go. And we'll continue where we left off. Here we go. Only LC. Hey, LC.
Yeah, fucking Christ.
There we go. There's a. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope your studies are good.
Fucking
Also, because I want to get ahead of it, since everyone has the super hot for M's, marry me. It's the voice and smart.
Jesus fucking Christ.
When M's talks, I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that need to put some of their garments in the washing machine. This the bomb cloud opening of arguments. Yeah, we've had some of those. This is a big old rip. What if, right? Texas Panhandler, great to see you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. The pretzel factory is open and producing like crazy tonight. We had a pretzel factory tonight. It was a good one. This topic was actually Carnage's suggestion, and it worked out really well. Dan O'Connell says, keep cooking without mercy, Justin. Listen, you guys know my rule. If you get a coffee Christian up in here, popping off at the mouth, fucking cook them. If they're really nice, I don't mind. I only cook the people that need it. People need it. Some adult Christians can't sleep at night until you spank them and send them to bed. Not a robot. Thank you for the super chat. A Christian does know it's a biblical knowledge question, but assumes there is an answer that'll get them cooked faster. Yeah. I do love it when I begin reading Leviticus 25:39. It starts out saying, if somebody falls into debt with you, don't enslave them. Most people haven't read far enough to realize that this exact person is an Israelite, not a foreigner. You don't realize that in a couple verses, it's going to say that, and then it's going to say that you can absolutely make slaves of the foreigners. They don't know any of that. It's always fun when they get real huffy-puffy at verse 39 without knowing the rest. King Caesar said, that call drop broke me. I'm converted, rock hard for duck. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Of all people who deserved 2 minutes to preach, I think Checkmate 004 deserves it. You got something pretty fucking hard. Jeebus Fish, thank you for the super chat and for being a member for 6 months. How many words did you add for pretzel? In my pretzel counter, I've got, for that last stage, 150 instances counts before the meter finished, and I have 4 different words, one of them is a phrase that I was looking for. I can't tell you what they are, but, because if I told everyone what they are, then they'll use them on purpose. But I know the keywords of our community. I know when you're down like this motherfucker's getting roasted. I get it. We've been doing this together for a long time, friends. So I don't want to tell people what the words are, because then they'll purposely do it and run up the meter, which is fine. Not terrible, but I think it's funner this way, where I'm surreptitiously kind of assuming what word are going to come out. Only because I get to see the chat all the time. Acts 24:23. I'm the Irish Scottish brethren guy who you deconstructed back in November. I recall. What's your next Q&A so I can give you an update? I don't know. I was supposed to be doing one in July. I think it's going to be the last Sunday. Because the next 2 Sundays, I have to stream on other networks on Sunday. So I'm kind of... Sundays are tough. I think the last Sunday of the month I might have. Chris says, Christians, is this honestly your representation? It is, actually, Chris. This is the best they have. And that's the scary part. Miss Meg's again for Mr. Jet had a patient
Why the fuck did I not cancel?
because it wanted to do evil things. He was not drunk or on drugs, just under the influence of religion. Religion will make you do dumb things. Like cut out your eye, cut off your hand. It's crazy. Religious authorities used to do that shit back in the day. If you couldn't control yourself, we'll control it for you. And Chris Hatch says that some people feel you started to take over Matt as the king of atheist media. A changing of the guard. Would you be open to professional debate? Oh, sure. Chris, I'll fucking debate anybody. If it's worthwhile. So a lot of people have wanted to debate me, like a standard format debate. I'm open to it, but I'm not just going to waste my time debating it. If I'm going to get on a fucking plane and fly somewhere and debate somebody in person, it's going to be at a big stage or a university, and they're going to have some sort of name or reputation, and we're going to have a substantive conversation. If it's just some jack off from YouTube, fucking G-Man wants to debate me in person, I don't really give a fuck. It's got to be worth the time. And y'all know my rule. The reason why I run my own channel, the reason why I do all this is not because I want to be the debate master. It's not my goal. Never wanted to be the top of the debate pile. It was never something I was looking for. I want people to fucking get out of these toxic ass religions. And as far as I can tell, the most effective method of doing that is running my channel. I think that's what I think. So I do it as much as possible, and for me, Chris, it's not about being the best debater. It's not about being recognized as being the best. For me, it's about getting the fucking people out of here, get them out of these toxic religions, and society gets better. Tim says, I was raised very fundamentally Reformed Baptist. Have you ever spoken to
Fucking Christ.
Quite a few. What are your feelings on Reformed Baptists in particular? If you have any, Aroa from New Zealand. Okay, so there's more than one type of Reformed Baptist, but typically in the States, when we talk about Reformed Baptists, we're referring to typical Baptists that broke off from the Brethren and the Anabaptists, and they baptize adults. And there are some that are in the Reformed movement, which is, you might recognize them as, sometimes we might refer to them as Calvinists, but not all Reformed people are Calvinists. It just happens to be that all Calvinists are Reformed. But there's other Reformed denominations, like the Wesleyans, even the Presbyterians. So the Reformed Baptist is basically it's a Baptist denomination that went the route of Presbyterians, Wesleyans, and so on and so forth. So what do I think about them? Unless they're fundamentalists, I don't mind. I'm not a huge fan of the Reformed movement. I don't know. I think the Reformed movement, the problem, it depends. The early Reformed movement, like under Wesley, they did, they wanted to work the Christians towards perfection. Like, this idea that, if you work hard enough, you can reach a real state of holiness, not like a state of holiness where Jesus does forgive your sins, right? I don't mind that. But that's not really a thing anymore in the Reformed movement. So, I don't know.
God
but anyways, my understanding is that the Reformed Baptists are not much different than the Independent Baptists we really find in the southern U.S., where they're kingdom only, and they have all these weird rules, where it's to the ground. It's goofy, That's all fundamentalists are. So, getting old. It is past midnight. It's fucking already past midnight. My gosh. I was saying we get to bed on time. I never get to bed on time. I should have quit before Checkmate kept me up so late. But I was having too much fun with Checkmate. We had to keep the conversation going. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Other than that, I'm not super familiar with the Reformed Baptists. So if there's something in particular about your New Zealand branch that you're referring to, I'm not sure I know much about it. I can only tell you about the one that's here. Kurt says property is not equal neighbors. True. That's why your neighbor could be treated like property. You're the woman just over there in that house or that tent. You're into a slave and concubine. That's your neighbor. He's your kin. You can do it. Growing skeptic, and I'm glad that you're growing in your skepticism. If the snake in the garden was Satan, does that mean Christians believe Satan has to crawl on his belly also? So I ask this question a lot because it's obvious in Genesis 3 that it's just a fucking snake. It says that it's going to be cursed, crawl on its belly, and eat the dust, meaning live in the ground. Satan doesn't do that shit. That's what snakes do. That's why it says, cursed are you among all animals. Is Satan a fucking animal? No. It's obviously about a fucking snake. And Kurt says, I would love to try to go to seminary and gain some of this knowledge, but I'm prior military and have some brain injuries, and I'm not very confident I would be successful in that environment. Well, Kurt, I don't know what your learning ability is. What I do know is that a lot of seminaries are flexible. If you really want to go, find an accredited one that ATS accredits, and just fucking go. Listen, if you're not going to be, if you're not going to do it for a career, it doesn't matter if you go and get bad grades. You can still go and learn all kinds of shit, right? It doesn't matter what your GPA is. If you want to go on to do a PhD, sure, your GPA fucking matters. If you want to go on to do this for a job, maybe your GPA matters. You know. If you just want to go learn stuff, buddy, go have at it. Learn as much as you can. You don't have to be good at it. Just go learn, buddy. Foley coming against this. This is why I love Gretchen. She says what we're all thinking she does. And she's right. So, what are you going to do? Right? Gretchen's got her finger on the pulse, y'all. And two-hand Dan, thank you for the super chat, says, can we get separate channels on Discord? One for whores and one for the blasphemers. Whores rule, first rule, rock hard for Doug, and the schism is real. It's interesting, I will say this. The people promoting the schism seem to all be whores. I wonder why that is. Are they insecure in their streaming position? I don't know.
That is a weird sentence. They all seem to be one.
Insecure in their position.
No, the word said
I could have dicked up both phones.
The people keeping the schism
Decided instead of dick up that fucking king.
That's what they call themselves for the horizontal views. They're whores. This is why I keep getting blocked on TikTok, y'all. Yeah, I'll never. Every stream I'm going to get a violation. Chris says, you unlocked a memory that I didn't want unlocked. I apologize for that. I'm mentioning Ray Stevens. My grandmother made
Man,
me
this is
watch
boring as
videos
shit.
when I was a kid. A lot of us did.
I can't believe why I wasted 40 minutes watching that shit. He didn't call anybody a dummy.
I'm rusty, man. I'm rusty. This is what happens when you take too long of a break. Hello and welcome, my gentle and of course very modern apes. My name is Eric. I'm Gutsy Gibbon. I'm here with Dr. Blitz. Today is the 6th of July. It's 2026, and this is Skep Talk. Or since I'm covering for him today, I can sort of channel him now. This is Skeppy Talk, and what we do here is we take calls from you, the audience, the viewers, on all topics related to science and skepticism. The types of calls that I'm looking for today, because it's been a hot minute. I haven't been hosting this show in a long time. I've sort of been in the shadow realm. But now that I'm back, I'm ready to hear calls related to some of my favorite topics. I've been really in withdrawal for conversations about creationism. I want to talk about climate change denial, vaccine denial. Call if you are a climate change hater, or if you don't think that that's something that's actually happening, if you think that, transgenderism is a thing and it's also bad, or if you think gay people don't have a right to exist. Please call for any and all of those topics. Second Bliss and I would love to have a conversation with you. That being said, and I've been told I'm limited, I've not been told, but it's been insinuated that I'm limited in how often I'm allowed to solicit for cryptid encounters, alien encounters, poltergeist kinds of encounters. Call in, tell us about those too. We love to hear about them. We'll hash it out with you and explain why, in all likelihood, although I can't see the future, why we are a bit skeptical as to that being something that could happen. Speaking of which, if you've got, like, what's the word I'm looking for? The future sight kind of thing. Precognition? Precognition, that's it.
There you go.
Precognition. If you know about that, if you know somebody who's like a psychic, if you're into astrology, like, call in on all of those things. We would absolutely love to hear from you.
You left out Flat Earth.
Flat Earth! Well, okay. To be fair, my experiences with Flat Earth have caused me to memory hole them. I find them so detestable. I find them so detestable. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your experience has been different. This is actually the first time I've been hosted with Dr. Blitz here, so I'm looking forward to hearing the new perspective from a physics background here that isn't Dr.
I just
I don't love Dr. Nick, but getting some variety in there. Are you, like, have you encountered Flat Earthers? Like, do you debunk a lot of Flat Earth?
I do a 3-hour debate show specifically for Flat Earthers once a week, and I have been for the last 3 years.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, to say the least.
So you've got sort of like you're very up close and personal with it. So you can tell me if I'm wrong on this one then. There's a certain like tenacity to Flat Earthers, I find, that makes them very aggressive and kind of unpleasant to deal with, in my limited experience, that I don't always, it's present with creationists and anti-vaxxers and things like that, but with the Flat Earthers, it's sort of like they've got nothing left to lose.
Yep. I mean, look, there's a tier list of science denial, if you will. Creationism is, like, if we're thinking like a pyramid, right? Creationism is probably like the second level of the pyramid. Moon landing denial is maybe the third level of the pyramid. Flat Earth is like the fourth level of the pyramid. And then the fifth level is usually that the Jews did everything.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, I mean, like, so it's like right up there. And so you have to be a special kind of person to be a Flat Earther.
I think that's true, and I think I could yap about this at any opportunity, but I think that Dan Olson, Folding Ideas, in Search of a Flat Earth video, where he sort of ties into Flat Earth, or rather takes Flat Earth and ties it into this broader conspiratorial thinking that seems to be plaguing the United States, but also everywhere to some degree right now, where it's like, why would you want the Earth to be flat? Because if you could show that the Earth is flat, then you can show that everything is BS, and whatever pet idea, whatever pet reality, the way that you view the world might have some kind of, like, legs to stand on. If the Earth is flat, then it's all up for grabs. And I thought that was appropriate, and I found that looking at it from that angle makes a lot of Flat Earther antics make sense to me, but I also don't deal with them as often as you do.
Yeah, I mean, the motivation for a lot of Flat Earthers is inevitably religious. It's the same thing with creationism. Like, find me one atheist who thinks evolution is fake, and I'll, show you a Flat Earther who thinks that, or find me one creationist, one evolution denier who's an atheist. I think that is what I said. Anyway, it's the same thing. And so often there's this idea. There's two separate ideas. There's, of course, lines in, like, the Bible that insinuate that the Earth is flat, because, of course, people writing this 2,600 years ago or whatever thought the Earth was flat. Like, obviously, of course they did. And then there's also this extra feature that, like, the government is hiding it from us because they want to make our life bad. And if the Earth is flat and is actually way bigger and there's lands beyond the ice wall, well, then we could just go there and there's unlimited resources. But the government wants us to be unhappy for some reason. So I don't know. It's usually a distrust of government coupled with extreme fundamentalist interpretations of various biblical texts. It's not a good combination.
No, it's very volatile, one might say, right? Like, these two guys do not make good bedfellows for the rest of us here on the planet. So what's been going on with you? What's been happening? Before I get accused of vamping, we do have calls already on the line, but Dr. Blitz and I have never hosted together, and so I'm kind of hoping to just, like, see what's up. I don't know, shoot the shit, as I said. I said that we were going to be shooting the shit beforehand, and...
Which is acceptable. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's where hero worship's the wrong word, but like parasocial behavior is always fun, especially when I host with somebody that I've been paying attention to for a while. It took a while before I hosted with Forrest Ever, and I was like, it's Forrest Alkai. I've been watching your videos for years. So, that's always fun. But setting that aside, I mean, like, I transitioned full-time to science communicator last year because it turns out I'm sure you're actually aware because you're also probably in a similar scenario, if not will be. The science job market is really rough these days, especially if you want to stay in the US, especially if you want to stay in a single state. And so it turns out that it's just, you get paid better doing full-time science communication. And at least if you're like me, who's a theorist and stuff, I don't need equipment. I don't have to go out into the lab. It turns out it's really cheap to be the kind of physicist I am. So I can just do it from home, and I get more flexibility. So it's been a delight that I've been able to do that. Sorry, there's a printer running behind me. Honestly, I've been doing okay, especially just because, getting to get involved with the line, getting to do my own stuff, I have a few other things going on, are all good. Like, I'm going to Pennsylvania next week for a conference, and I can just do that. I don't have to ask for permission from my university. So, I'm good.
God, where do we even begin with that? I empathize with all of that top down. I'm at the point where, like, so people who get my degree, because I'm sort of at the terminal end of my degree here, I'm hoping to defend in December, but I've been saying that I'm hoping to defend one semester from where I'm at for, like, 3 semesters. So, you know how it is. I need to just decide that it's good enough and go with it, but like I feel like I can't let it go yet. I feel like I might be able to get a little bit better. Like my analysis is a little bit better, so I'm still playing with it. That's sort of beside the point, but you real recognize real here, I'm sure. But people who get my degree either teach this subject, who teach biological anthropology or one of the many related subjects, general bio, evolutionary biology, zoology, like things, interrelated bits for like macroscopic life and the study of it, but most of them go on to teach, at least for some time, anatomy. But the problem is, to teach anatomy, you gotta have like gross anatomy, like cadaver work experience to make yourself competitive to get hired. And I took gross anatomy, and if I may, I did quite well in gross anatomy. And my gross anatomy course has sort of a through liner, or pipeline is probably a better way of putting it, into a fellowship that most people go on to do. It's like an anatomy teaching fellowship, and then that makes you really competitive for teaching anatomy. So here I am at the end of my degree, and I'm sort of looking down 3 pathways. Before me, there are 3 pathways, and it's like, 1, I do this anatomy teaching fellowship, and I teach anatomy for time indeterminate. 2, I go for a postdoc, and I have a sort of pseudo opportunity that may materialize depending if we can get funding, which is a gigantic asterisk. And the timing on that, like, it depends also on when the funding comes in and things like that. Or 3, I get some science communication time to decide what I actually want to do, right? Or maybe even do science communication full time. Because you're right, especially financially, it is actually quite lucrative. Which gives you the time to explore other options as well, or maybe end up doing it full time. So I hear you on all of that. It's rough out here. It's really rough.
Just so everybody knows, we say quite lucrative. I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson makes like oodles of money, but like us normies who do like decent on YouTube or decent on TikTok, we're doing like all right to live like a middle class lifestyle. But like the comparison is with how much postdocs get paid, how much grad students get paid. When I was a grad student, and to be clear, I was a grad student in Northern California, so it was very expensive. I got $27,000 a year. And so, like,
Did you teach in the summer as well?
I did. The regular stipend was $25,000, and if I taught in the summer, it would be $27,500 or $27,500 or something like this. To be fair, the year after I graduated, the grad students unionized. They went on strike, and they got a huge pay raise. So kudos to them. I think it's now $35,000 or like $37,000 a year at that university, which is much better. But still, all things considered, you're comparing $25,000, $30,000 as a grad student to high 5 figures if you're doing this right. And then as a postdoc, depending on where you are, it'll be maybe comparable, maybe, if you're lucky.
Fingers crossed.
Like, I remember applying for postdocs. It was, in the US, it was ranging from $40,000 to $75,000 a year.
Man, look at
And this is, again, keep in mind, this is somebody who has a PhD in a technical field, right? This is not an entry-level position. So,
piss me off.
this is all to say that academics don't get paid very well.
Yeah, academics get paid. It's a pittance for the amount of work that's required to actually apply for these types of jobs, which is why it's like, you gotta love it. Now, that being said, a lot of people that I know who have jobs in academia, they do love it and they also hate it. It's actually like a perfect yin-yang. There is no I'm feeling neutral about my job. It's either this is the best thing ever when you're doing fieldwork, or a student really nails a specific concept, or you get to come up with a new class that you're excited to teach, or it is just hell on earth, right? You're dealing with bureaucracy. You're applying for grants like over and over and over again for something that arguably deserves funding but is not getting funding because, as you're probably aware of right now too, there's this massive push for AI-related projects to the degree that I think last time I checked there had been one biology-related NSF grant in the I guess flaming wreckage of the DDRIG, which is no longer a thing. Neither are many of the different departments, or not departments, but sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? Categories for application in the NSF. Because the NSF is dead. The NSF is toast. Anyways, the bottom line is, academics don't get paid a lot, and what you get paid to do science communication on YouTube can be quite good, especially because I was comparing it to like, this is your tale as old as time. You know it. You probably just got off of it in the same way that I did. But it's like, my teaching stipend was not as much as the teaching stipend that you just said. I didn't teach in the summer. And the reason I'm not saying is because I'm still a student. But it's like I didn't get paid during the summer because I didn't apply to teach during the summer. But I also live in a state in the South where cost of living is a lot lower, and so they also pay you a lot lower. And so it's like you could probably live on it, I would say. But it would be really tough. Yeah, it would be really tough. So when YouTube started actually making money for me, I was like, wow, this is actually really nice. This is.
I mean, like,
I wish I could make money.
Two things related to that. The first is, so I did a postdoc.
Man, this is boring.
I did a postdoc between right after I finished in 2020, in summer 2022. I moved.
People who were doing it concurrently with him. So supposing that you're correct, and I couldn't find anything, again, quick cursory Google search, but I couldn't find anything about him, like actually sexually assaulting children in the conventional sense that we understand it, mostly just the stuff with David Reimer.
Right now, you are some number of years old. Doesn't matter exactly how many. What matters is that whoever you are, you have lived more than 15,000 days. So let's do something with one of them. Pick a day, not a famous one, not a wedding, not a funeral, not the day something broke. A random Tuesday from 9 years ago, an ordinary one. You woke up that morning, light came through a window, you ate something, you said words to someone, and some of those words probably mattered to them more than you'll ever know. A whole day, 24 hours of being alive, being you, fully present, with no idea it would be the day I'd one day ask you to find. Now find it. You can't. And I want you to notice the exact texture of ever know. A whole day, 24 hours of being alive, being you, fully present, with no idea it would be the day I'd one day ask you to find. Now find it. You can't. And I want you to notice the exact texture of why you can't, because it's stranger than it first seems. It's not that the day is blurry. Blurry would mean it's still there, just out of focus. Like a photo you could maybe sharpen if you tried hard enough. No, the day is gone.
It happened. It was real. It was as vivid and immediate to you then as this moment is to you now. And it has left no trace anywhere in the universe. because the only place that day was ever stored was inside your head. And your head let it go. Sit with the scale of that for a second, because most people never do. The overwhelming majority of your own life has already vanished. Not misplaced, not forgotten in the soft, recoverable, oh, it'll come to me sense. Deleted. If you tried right now to account for your existence day by day, you would find that you are, statistically, almost a complete stranger to the person who has been living your life. And here's where it gets worse. The tiny sliver you think you kept, your most precious memories, the handful of scenes you would point to and say, this is who I am. Those are not recordings. I know they feel like recordings. They feel like little films you can play back. They are not. They are reconstructions. Your brain builds them again from raw parts every single time you remember them. And every rebuild quietly edits the one before it. Which means some of your most cherished memories did not happen the way you remember them. And a few of them, may not have happened at all. But the strangest part is the beginning, the first years of your life, the years that actually built the person sitting here watching this, the years where you learned that you were a self, separate from the world, loved or not loved, safe or not safe. You remember none of it. None. And for about 100 years, science had a tidy, comforting explanation for that. The baby brain, they said, is simply too primitive to record. There's nothing to retrieve because nothing was ever written down. In 2025, that explanation died. We now know that your infant brain was recording. Researchers can watch the recordings light up.
The footage of you as a 1-year-old, held, fed, frightened, comforted, may physically still be in there. You just can't get to it. This video is about the locked room at the center of you. And I should warn you now, before we start walking toward it, that this is not really a video about how memory works. There are thousands of those, and they are mostly boring, because they treat your memory like a piece of office equipment with some quirks. This is a video about whether the continuous person you've believed yourself to be your whole life, the one stretching back, unbroken, all the way to childhood, is actually there at all. I went into this thinking it was a science story. I came out the other side genuinely unsettled about my own existence. So, fair warning. Let's go. I need to tell you where this started for me, because it would be dishonest to pretend I figured any of this out myself. I am not a neuroscientist. I'm a person who read a book and fell down a hole. The book is called Pieces of Light, and it's by a writer named Charles Ferneyhugh, who is, conveniently, both a novelist and a psychologist, which turns out to be the perfect combination of credentials for this particular subject, and you'll see why in a minute. The book has a subtitle, Something About How the New Science of Memory Illuminates the Stories We Tell About Our Pasts. And honestly, the subtitle is the whole thesis, so hold on to that word, stories. I'll be straight with you. I didn't agree with everything in it. And there are stretches where Ferneyhugh gets very literary at exactly the moment I wanted him to get very precise. And I'd find myself going, okay, beautiful sentence, but what is the experiment? That's a me problem, more than a him problem. Because the core idea of the book is one of those ideas that, once it gets into you, you cannot get back out. And the idea is this. To remember is to rebuild. And to rebuild is, partly, always, to invent. Not sometimes. Not when you're tired or lying. Always.
Damn it.
The act of remembering is itself an act of construction. There is no playback button in your skull. There never was. The film you think you're watching when you remember your 10th birthday is being assembled, live, on demand, out of fragments, and stitched together with educated guesses, and then, this is the part that should bother you. It gets filed back into storage as if the freshly assembled version were the original. Every recall overwrites. Ferneyhoff builds his case slowly, through case studies and his own memories, and a lot of careful, humane thinking about what it means to have a past. But while I was sitting with his book, the science underneath it was quietly detonating. And the explosion that went off in 2025 turned out to drop directly onto the foundation he'd laid.
Oh my God!
So I'm going to braid the two together.
The Patient, literary truth about memory as story, and the brand new, almost science fiction discovery about what's hiding in the part of memory we all assumed was empty. Let's start with how much is gone, because we need to feel the size of the loss before any of the rest of it lands. There's a man you should know about, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus, working in the 1880s, who did something almost monastic in its loneliness. He decided to study memory by becoming his own laboratory rat. He invented thousands of nonsense syllables, meaningless little three-letter clusters with no association to anything, and he memorized lists of them. And then he tested himself, again and again, over hours, days, weeks, to measure exactly how fast they leaked back out of him. What he found is now called the forgetting curve, and it is brutal. The forgetting isn't slow and gentle. It's a cliff. You lose the steepest portion almost immediately, much of it within the first hour, a great deal more within the first day. And then the curve flattens into a long, slow tail. Most of what your brain decides not to keep, it dumps almost at once. Now, Ebbinghaus was memorizing nonsense, detached fragments. And you might say, fine, that's nonsense syllables. My life is not nonsense syllables. My life is meaningful. My life is full of vivid emotional events that surely stick. So let's test that. Here's the first thought experiment, and I want you to actually do it, not just nod along. Because nodding along is how people protect themselves from how strange this is. Try to list right now genuinely distinct, dateable episodes from your own life. Not categories. Not summers were nice. Not we used to go to my grandmother's. Specific scenes. A particular afternoon in a particular place that you could, in principle, locate on a calendar. Start counting them. I'll give you a few seconds. Here's what happens to almost everyone who tries this honestly. You get the obvious peaks fast. The wedding, the accident, the trip, the loss. And then you slow down. And then, somewhere shockingly early, you run dry. Most people asked to do this hit a wall after a few hundred truly distinct memories. A few hundred. Out of 15,000 days. Out of a third of a million waking hours. Remember that number you hit. The wall. We're going to come back to it, and when we do, it's going to mean something different than it does right now. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. You do not have a life of memories. You have a highlight reel. A few hundred clips long. And the disturbing implication, the one Ferneyhoff circles all through his book, is that the reel is not the same thing as the life. The life was the 15,000 days. The reel is what survived. And you have quietly, without ever deciding to, started mistaking the reel for the thing itself. When you say my life, you mean the trailer. the movie's gone. Huh. Okay, so that's the loss across the whole span. But there's one region of the loss that's total, absolute, a blackout, not a fade. And that's the beginning. You cannot remember being a baby. You almost certainly cannot remember anything before the age of 2. And your memories before 3 or 4 are thin, patchy, and, we'll get to this, frequently fake. This phenomenon has a name. It's called infantile amnesia, and the person who named it was Sigmund Freud, over a century ago, who found it genuinely remarkable that we draw a total blank over the years in which, as he put it, we were most intensely alive. The years of the most rapid learning of your entire existence. The years you acquired a language from nothing. The years your personality was, in large part, set. All of it, black. For a century, the explanation was mechanical, and it was tidy, and almost everyone believed it. The story went like this. The hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain that is essential for forming new, long-term episodic memories, is not finished cooking for hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain that is essential for forming new, long-term episodic memories, is not finished cooking at birth. It's immature. It's still wiring itself up. And so the baby, the argument went, simply cannot lay down lasting episodic memories at all. There's nothing to retrieve in adulthood because nothing was ever written. The tape was never running. The room is empty because nobody ever furnished it. I need you to hold that explanation in your mind right now. And I need you to hold it as if it's true. Because for most of the time you've been alive, the experts held it as true. The room is empty. Nothing was reported. Got it? Good. Because I'm building a trapdoor under your feet. And that sentence is the floor. To open the trapdoor, we have to leave humans for a minute and talk about mice. Specifically, about a piece of work out of a lab in Toronto by a researcher named Axel Guskjolden, working with the neuroscientist Paul Franklin, published in 2018. And to understand what they did, you need one piece of vocabulary, and it's a beautiful one. The engram. An engram is the physical trace of a single memory. The idea is old. It goes back a century to a German scientist named Richard Semon, who basically got laughed out of the room for proposing that a specific memory might live in a specific physical pattern of cells. For decades, it was almost mystical. The engram, the Holy Grail, the actual location of a memory in matter. And then, in the last 15 years or so, optogenetics happened. A technique where you genetically engineer neurons so they can be switched on and off with pulses of light, like little biological light switches. And suddenly the engram stopped being a metaphor and became a thing you could point a laser at. So here's what the Toronto group did. And I want to walk through it slowly because the logic is the whole game. They took infant mice. Baby mice have their own version of infantile amnesia. They form a memory and then days later behave as if it's completely gone, just like us. So the team gave young mice an experience, a specific event in a specific place. And at the exact moment that memory was being formed, they chemically tagged the precise neurons that lit up to encode it. They marked the engram. They put a flag on the specific cells that were the memory. Then they waited. They let the mice grow up a little until the memory was, by every behavioral measure, gone, forgotten. The mice acted like the event had never happened. Infantile amnesia, right on schedule. By the old theory, those cells should hold nothing, because nothing durable was ever written. and then they switched the tagged neurons back on, with light. The memory came back.
The mice behaved again as if they remembered. The supposedly erased, supposedly never recorded infant memory was sitting right there the whole time, intact enough that a pulse of light could summon it. It had never been deleted. It had been filed. The footage existed. What the animal lacked was not the recording. What it lacked was the ability to find it. The infantile amnesia wasn't a failure of the tape. It was a failure of the search. Think about what that does to the tidy old story. The room was not empty. The room was full. There was just no handle on the door. Imagine a vast archive, every shelf stocked, every box labeled in a language the librarian has forgotten how to read. Nothing is missing. Everything is lost. That is your infancy, at least in a mouse. And of course the immediate, screaming objection, and you should be making it, I made it, is, that's a mouse. A mouse is not a person. A mouse memory of a place is not your memory of your mother's face. You cannot put a 1-year-old human in a machine, tag its neurons, and shine lasers into its brain, for a long list of extremely good reasons. So this was a gorgeous, suggestive result that lived behind a wall. It hinted that human infant memories might also be recorded but locked, rather than never recorded. But hinted is all it could do. That wall came down in 2025. And this is where it gets really strange. So pay close attention to this next part. Because the difficulty of what these people pulled off is half the story. A team at Yale, led by a neuroscientist named Nick Turk Brown, with a researcher named Tristan Yates as first author, published their result in the journal Science. And before I even tell you what they found, I have to tell you what they did, because it sounds impossible. They scanned the brains of awake infants inside an fMRI machine. If you've never been in an MRI, let me anchor this for you. It is a coffin-sized tube. It is monstrously loud, a relentless industrial hammering. And to get a usable image, the subject has to hold extraordinarily still. Adults find this difficult. Now picture getting a usable brain scan out of a conscious, unsedated baby who cannot be told why it's there, cannot be asked to stop wriggling, and is being asked to do a memory task at the same time. For years, this was considered close to undoable. They figured out how to do it. That alone is one of those quiet feats of method that the public never hears about. And here's the task. They showed infants images, faces, objects, scenes. Later, they showed those images again alongside brand new ones. And there's a well-established truth about how babies look at the world. Babies stare longer at things that are new to them. A baby's gaze, lingering on one image over another, is a measurable signal that the baby finds it familiar or unfamiliar. So the looking behavior gives you a behavioral readout of memory in a creature that cannot speak. Now the punchline. When they looked back at the brain scans, they found that the amount of hippocampal activity at the moment a baby first saw an image predicted whether that baby would later treat the image as familiar. More activity in the hippocampus during encoding meant better memory afterward. The very structure everyone said was too immature to record episodic memories was recording episodic memories. And it was doing it from around the age of 1. The 100-year-old explanation, the room is empty, the tape was never running,
is, as of 2025, dead. The infant hippocampus encodes genuine memories. The machinery is online. It is online during precisely the years that get wiped from your adult autobiography. Which forces the question that the old theory let everyone avoid. If the memories were encoded, and infantile amnesia is a retrieval failure rather than a recording failure, then where do those memories go? And the honest answer the researchers themselves are willing to entertain is the one that should make you put down whatever you're holding. Turk Brown has openly described chasing what he calls a radical, almost science fiction possibility. That these earliest memories don't get destroyed at all, that they persist in some dormant, encoded form into adulthood.
Fucking damn it.
Inaccessible, but
God,
there.
fuck it.
Let that settle. Somewhere in the physical matter of your skull, right now, 3 inches behind your eyes, there may sit the encoded trace of the first time your mother held you. The first face you ever loved. The first time you felt safe, or didn't. A real memory, physically present, that you will go your entire life unable to open. You are, in the most literal sense, the output of experiences you can no longer access. The room is full. There's no handle on the door. And look, if a sentence like that is the kind of thing that's going to keep you up tonight, then sticking around this channel is probably a good move. Because where we go next is stranger than the locked room. The channel only exists because enough people decided this exact flavor of unease was worth more of their evening. So if this is your kind of rabbit hole, subscribe and let's keep going. Quietly. Because I haven't told you the worst part yet. The worst part isn't the room you can't get into. The worst part is what's been happening in the rooms you can. Here is the turn. This is the moment where I have to confess that everything I've said so far was a setup. And the real subject of this video has been hiding behind it the whole time. We've been treating infantile amnesia like a special case. A weird quirk of the baby brain. Locked footage, no handle, a strange exception at the start of life.
And it's tempting to file it away like that and feel okay, because at least the memories you can reach are solid. At least your 10th birthday is real. At least the version of your father's voice you carry is accurate. Right?
Goddamn Christ.
No. This is the trap door, and it just opened, and we're falling through it. Remember Fernie Ho's thesis from the start. To remember is to rebuild, and to rebuild is to invent. The locked room of infancy is not the exception to how memory works. It is just the most visible, most total version of something that is happening to all of your memories, all the time. Because here's the mechanism, and it has a name. Reconsolidation. For a long time, the assumption was that a memory, once consolidated, once written to long-term storage, was basically a finished file. Stable. You could read it without changing it, the way reading a book doesn't rewrite the book. Then a series of experiments showed something that overturned that completely. When you retrieve a memory, you don't read it. You unlock it. You make it briefly editable again. And then, when you're done, it has to be resaved, reconsolidated. And in that window between recall and resaving, the memory is soft. It can be altered. It can absorb new information, present emotion, suggestion. And then the altered version gets written back as if it were the original. Read that again and feel the horror of it. The act of remembering something is the act of editing it. The memories you revisit most, the ones most precious to you, the ones you've replayed 1,000 times, are, by that very logic, the most heavily overwritten. They are the furthest from the original.
The memory of your wedding day that you've lovingly taken out and looked at every year is a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. Your most cherished memories are your least accurate ones. And if you want to know how far this can go,
God damn it.
you go to the work of one of the most important and most controversial psychologists alive, Elizabeth Loftus.
Jesus.
Loftus spent a career proving something that sounds like an insult and turns out to be a law of nature. Human memory is not just unreliable, it is implantable. You can put a memory into someone's head of an event that never happened, and they will not be able to tell the difference. They will, in fact, defend the false memory with the same confidence, the same emotion, the same vividness
Jesus
as a
fucking
truth.
Christ.
Her early work showed what's called the misinformation. She'd show people footage of a car accident, then ask them about it using subtly different words. How fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other versus when they hit each
Jesus
other?
goddamn Christ.
The word smashed didn't just produce higher speed estimates.
Fucking goddamn Christ.
A week later, people who'd heard smashed were more likely to remember broken glass at the scene.
There was no broken glass.
The question had rewritten the memory. A single verb edited the past. But the study that should genuinely disturb you is the one informally known as Lost in the Mall. Loftus and her colleagues planted in adult subjects a complete childhood memory of being lost in a shopping mall around the age of 5. Frightened, crying, eventually rescued by an elderly stranger. None of it had happened. They confirmed that with the subjects' own families. And a significant fraction of people not only came to believe it, they elaborated on it. They added details. They described the stranger. They described their own fear. They supplied the texture, the sensory richness, the emotional truth for an event that was wholesale fiction, gently suggested to them by a researcher. Now hold that against the locked infant room and watch the two halves of this video click together.
Damn it.
On one side, you have real memories you cannot access. On the other, you have fake memories you cannot distinguish from real ones. Your past, the actual record of who you were, is partly sealed away, where you'll never reach it, and partly invented and filed under true. The rooms you can't enter are full. The rooms you can enter have been redecorated, repeatedly, by an interior designer you never hired and cannot fire. And before you tell yourself this is some modern, fragile brain phenomenon, it isn't. The foundational demonstration is from 1932, from a British psychologist named Frederick Bartlett, who had people read an unfamiliar Native American folktale. He used one called The War of the Ghosts, full of imagery and logic alien to his English subjects, and then asked them to recall it, over and over, across weeks and months. They did not forget it randomly. They reshaped it. They smoothed out the parts that didn't fit their expectations. They dropped the supernatural elements that made no sense to them.
They rationalized the strange into the familiar.
By the end, the story they remembered was a story their own culture could have written. They had, without any awareness of doing it, rebuilt the tale in their own image. Bartlett's word for what memory does was reconstruction. In 1932, we've known for nearly a century, we just don't like to look at it. So where does this leave you? It leaves you with a question that is no longer about neuroscience at all. And this is the second turn, the deeper one. Because if your memories are mostly gone, and the survivors are partly invented, then we have to ask, what is the thing that's doing the keeping? Who is the editor? Who decides which few hundred clips make the reel? For that, we cross into a completely different field, behavioral economics, and the work of Daniel Kahneman, the psychologist who won a Nobel Prize in economics, which tells you something about how far his ideas reached. And Kahneman draws a distinction that once you see it, you cannot unsee, and it will quietly reorganize how you think about your entire life. He says there are two selves living inside you. There's the experiencing self. That's the one who is actually alive right now in this minute. The one feeling the chair under you, hearing my voice, existing in the present tense. The experiencing self lives in a series of present moments, each lasting a few seconds, and then they're gone. The experiencing self is the one who does almost all of your actual living. And it has almost no power because it has no voice in memory. It doesn't get a say in the record. It lives and then it vanishes, moment after moment after moment, completely unrepresented. And then there's the remembering self, the storyteller, the one who keeps score, who decides what your vacation was like, what your relationship was like, what your life was like. And the remembering self is a terrible, biased historian.
Kahneman showed it follows a rule he called peak-end. When you remember an experience, you do not average all the moments. You remember the most intense moment, the peak, and you remember how it ended. And that's basically it. The duration barely registers. A phenomenon so reliable, he called it duration neglect. He demonstrated this in ways that are almost cruel in their cleverness. In one set of studies with colonoscopy patients, back when the procedure was far less comfortable than it is now, he found that a patient whose procedure was longer but ended on a milder note remembered the whole thing as less bad than a patient whose procedure was shorter but ended at a sharp peak of discomfort.
God fucking damn it.
More total suffering remembered as less. Because the ending was gentler. The remembering self does not care how much you actually suffered. It cares how the story finished. And here is the gut punch, the place where this stops being an interesting fact and starts being about your life.
You do not make your decisions for the self who experiences your life. You make them for the self who remembers it. You choose the vacation that will make the better story, not the one that will feel better minute to minute. People will endure a worse experience for a better memory of it. We are, all of us, constantly sacrificing the experiencing self, the one who's actually alive, on the altar of the remembering self, a narrator who keeps only peaks and endings, and gets most of the details wrong. Imagine an alien researcher studying us. It watches a human being choose, again and again, the path that produces more total discomfort in lived seconds, for the sake of a cleaner highlight in a reel that will itself mostly evaporate. The alien would conclude, reasonably, that we do not value our own lives. We value the trailer. We are willing to make the living worse to make the story better. And the punchline the alien would have to add, the story isn't even accurate.
So let's pull all of it into one place, because this is the synthesis, and it's where the science finally tips over into something I can only call philosophy. Run the chain. Most of your life is gone, deleted, not stored. The fraction you kept is reconstructed every time you touch it, and edited a little more each time. Some of what you kept is outright fabricated and indistinguishable from the real. The earliest, most formative part is locked in a room with no handle, and the editor in charge of the whole archive is a biased narrator who keeps peaks and endings and throws away the rest of the minutes you actually lived. Now here's the bomb. A psychiatrist named Veronica O'Keefe wrote a book, The Rag and Bone Shop, a title she borrowed from a Yeats poem about where all the ladders of the heart start. And her central argument is that memory does not just describe the self. Memory makes the self.
There is no separate, solid you sitting behind your memories, owning them, the way you own a photo album. You are the album, the continuous person you feel yourself to be, the through line connecting the baby in the photographs to whoever is watching this. That continuity is built out of memory and nothing else. And the philosophers got here centuries before the neuroscientists, which I find both humbling and a little funny. John Locke, back in the 1600s, argued that personal identity just is continuity of memory. That what makes you the same person as the child you were is the chain of remembering that links you back to them. Which raises a problem he didn't have the science to see the full size of. If that chain is mostly broken, and the surviving links are partly forged, then in what sense are you the same person as that child?
The philosopher Derek Parfit pushed this until it broke, arguing that personal identity might not be the deep, all-or-nothing fact we feel it to be. That the you of decades ago and the you of now might be connected more like a rope of overlapping fibers than a single unbroken thread, with no fiber running the whole length. And Daniel Dennett gave it the phrase that haunts me most. The self, he said, is a center of narrative gravity, not a thing, a point that a story revolves around. A useful fiction the brain spins because a creature that tells a coherent story about itself survives better than one that doesn't. There's a piece of vocabulary from the great memory scientist Endel Tolving that makes this exact. He distinguished knowing a fact about your past from reliving it. And he had a name for that reliving, that sense of mentally traveling back in time and being there again. He called it autonoetic consciousness. It is the thing that makes a memory feel like yours, rather than like a fact in a book. It is, arguably, the deepest signature of selfhood we have. And it is precisely the thing that is constructed, fallible, editable, and, for your first years, missing entirely. So put the pieces down on the table and look at them. If the self is made of memory, and memory is mostly gone, partly invented, and sealed at the source, then the continuous I you have carried your entire life, the one that feels more solid and certain than anything else in your experience, is a story. A curated, edited, partly fictional story, written by an unreliable narrator, about a person most of whose life has been erased. And yet it is also the realest thing you possess. This is the part I genuinely could not resolve, and I've stopped trying to. Because the story isn't a lie sitting on top of the real you. There is no real you underneath it. The story is you. It's all there is. The fiction is the fact. Which flips the whole thing one final time. We started by treating forgetting as a tragedy, the great deletion, the lost days, the locked room. But look again. If you remembered everything, every Tuesday, every commute, every meal, all 15,000 days in full, equal, unedited detail, you would not be more yourself. You would be no self at all. You'd be a flat, undifferentiated archive with no shape, no meaning, no narrative. It's the forgetting that creates the shape. It's the editing that makes the story. The peaks and endings your unreliable narrator keeps, those aren't the corruption of your life. They're the authorship of it. Forgetting isn't a flaw in the story of your life. Forgetting is how the story gets written.
Remember that wall I asked you to hit near the start? The point where you ran dry listing your real distinct memories? A few hundred out of 15,000 days? I told you we'd come back to it and it would mean something different. Here's what it means now. That small pile of clips is not the failure of your memory. It's the finished manuscript. That's the book. That's the whole self right there. A few hundred pages long, edited down from a life that was thousands of times larger. Everything else was raw footage on the cutting room floor. And the cutting is what made it a film. I find that almost unbearably sad and almost unbearably beautiful in the same breath. And I've decided to just let it be both. Let me leave you where this left me. 2 images, and then I'll get out of your way. The first. Somewhere in the physical matter of your skull, there may sit, encoded and intact, the memory of the first time a person you loved held you. The Yale work and the mouse work together raise the genuine, no longer science fiction possibility that it's still in there. And they raise a question we are going to have to answer this century, not in theory, but in a lab. If those memories physically persist, could we one day build a key to that door? And the harder question, the one underneath it, if we could, should we? What would it do to you to suddenly retrieve in full the experiences that built you before you had any defenses, any words, any self to protect itself? There may be a very good reason the door has no handle. The forgetting might be mercy. We don't know. We're about to find out. And the second image, the one I actually can't shake. The day you are living right now, this exact one, this ordinary Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever it is, the one you're spending partly watching a video about memory. This day is already on its way to joining the deleted majority. By this time next year, almost none of it will have survived. The light in the room, the specific weight of how you feel right now, the precise texture of this minute, gone, almost all of it, recoverable by no one, stored nowhere. The only version that will last is whatever fragment your remembering self, that biased, sentimental, fabricating narrator, happens to decide is worth turning into a story. And even that fragment, every time you revisit it, will quietly become something you made up. So here's the question I'll leave on the table, and then the screen's going dark. If you are going to forget almost all of your life, if the experiencing self does the living and gets none of the credit, and the remembering self gets the credit and gets the facts wrong, then what exactly are you living for? The minutes you're actually in? Or the story you'll tell? And the one I really can't answer, the one I want you lying awake with tonight, who exactly are you telling it to?
against each other to see which one could tell the biggest whopper. The one said, I drilled a hole in the floor of the moon. The other replied, you sure did, because I went around to the other side and clinched it. So he won the argument. He told the biggest lie. See, the first person's lie was his only promoted his lie, but second person's lie both what the goddamn. But the second person's reasoning validated both his lie and the other person's. The first person's lie only put forth his lie. The second person's lie both validated his own lie and the other person's lie. The first person's lie only presented his lie as being truth. The second person's lie presented both lies as being true. Both his lies and the other both his lie and the other person's lie. I do. I curse the Holy Ghost if I'm not good looking. Last game.
Around the age of 5, frightened, crying, eventually rescued by an elderly stranger.
Because the first person presented his lie as being true, but
they confirmed that with the subject's own family. And a significant fraction of people not only came to believe it, they elaborated on it. They added details. They described the stranger. They described their own fear. They supplied the texture, the sensory richness, the emotional truth for an event that was wholesale fiction, gently suggested to them by a researcher. Now hold that against the locked infant room and watch the two halves of this video click together. On one side, you have real memories you cannot access. On the other, you have fake memories you cannot distinguish from real ones. Your past, the actual record of who you were, is partly sealed away, where you'll never reach it, and partly invented and filed true. The rooms you can't enter are full. The rooms you can enter have been redecorated, repeatedly, by an interior designer you never hired and cannot fire. And before you tell yourself this is some modern, fragile brain phenomenon, it isn't. The foundational demonstration is from 1932, from a British psychologist named Frederick Bartlett, who had people read an unfamiliar Native American folktale. He used one called The War of the Ghosts, full of imagery and logic alien to his English subjects, and then asked them to recall it, over and over, across weeks and months. They did not forget it randomly. They reshaped it. They smoothed out the parts that didn't fit their expectations. They dropped the supernatural elements that made no sense to them. They rationalized the strange into the familiar. By the end, the story they remembered was a story their own culture could have written. They had, without any awareness of doing it, rebuilt the tale in their own image. Bartlett's word for what memory does was reconstruction. In 1932, we've known for nearly a century, we just don't like to look at it. So where does this leave you? It leaves you with a question that is no longer about neuroscience at all. And this is the second turn, the deeper one. Because if your memories are mostly gone, and the survivors are partly invented, then we have to ask, what is the thing that's doing the keeping? Who is the editor? Who decides which few hundred clips make the reel? For that, we cross into a completely different field, behavioral economics, and the work of Daniel Kahneman, the psychologist who won a Nobel Prize in economics, which tells you something about how far his ideas reached. And Kahneman draws a distinction that once you see it, you cannot unsee, and it will quietly reorganize how you think about your entire life. He says there are two selves living inside you. There's the experiencing self. That's the one who is actually alive right now in this minute. The one feeling the chair under you, hearing my voice, existing in the present tense. The experiencing self lives in a series of present moments, each lasting a few seconds, and then they're gone. The experiencing self is the one who does almost all of your actual living. And it has almost no power because it has no voice in memory. It doesn't get a say in the record. It lives and then it vanishes, moment after moment after moment, completely unrepresented. And then there's the remembering self, the storyteller, the one who keeps score, who decides what your vacation was like, what your relationship was like, what your life was like. And the remembering self is a terrible, biased historian.
Kahneman showed it follows a rule he called peak-end. When you remember an experience, you do not average all the moments. You remember the most intense moment, the peak, and you remember how it ended. And that's basically it. The duration barely registers. A phenomenon so reliable, he called it duration neglect. He demonstrated this in ways that are almost cruel in their cleverness. In one set of studies with colonoscopy patients, back when the procedure was far less comfortable than it is now, he found that a patient whose procedure was longer but ended on a milder note remembered the whole thing as less bad than a patient whose procedure was shorter but ended at a sharp peak of discomfort. More total suffering remembered as less. Because the ending was gentler. The remembering self does not care how much you actually suffered. It cares how the story finished. And here is the gut punch, the place where this stops being an interesting fact and starts being about your life.
You do not make your decisions for the self who experiences your life. You make them for the self who remembers it. You choose the vacation that will make the better story, not the one that will feel better minute to minute. People will endure a worse experience for a better memory of it. We are, all of us, constantly sacrificing the experiencing self, the one who's actually alive, on the altar of the remembering self, a narrator who keeps only peaks and endings, and gets most of the details wrong. Imagine an alien researcher studying us. It watches a human being choose, again and again, the path that produces more total discomfort in lived seconds, for the sake of a cleaner highlight in a reel that will itself mostly evaporate. The alien would conclude, reasonably, that we do not value our own lives. We value the trailer. We are willing to make the living worse to make the story better. And the punchline the alien would have to add, the story isn't even accurate.
So let's pull all of it into one place, because this is the synthesis, and it's where the science finally tips over into something I can only call philosophy. Run the chain. Most of your life is gone, deleted, not stored. The fraction you kept is reconstructed every time you touch it, and edited a little more each time. Some of what you kept is outright fabricated and indistinguishable from the real. The earliest, most formative part is locked in a room with no handle.
and the editor in charge of the whole archive is a biased narrator who keeps peaks and endings and throws away the rest of the minutes you actually lived. Now here's the bomb. A psychiatrist named Veronica O'Keefe wrote a book, The Rag and Bone Shop, a title she borrowed from a Yeats poem about where all the ladders of the heart start. And her central argument is that memory does not just describe the self. Memory makes the self.
There is no separate, solid you sitting behind your memories, owning them, the way you own a photo album. You are the album, the continuous person you feel yourself to be, the through line connecting the baby in the photographs to whoever is watching this. That continuity is built out of memory and nothing else. And the philosophers got here centuries before the neuroscientists, which I find both humbling and a little funny. John Locke, back in the 1600s, argued that personal identity just is continuity of memory. That what makes you the same person as the child you were is the chain of remembering that links you back to them. Which raises a problem he didn't have the science to see the full size of. If that chain is mostly broken, and the surviving links are partly forged, then in what sense are you the same person as that child?
The philosopher Derek Parfit pushed this until it broke, arguing that personal identity might not be the deep, all-or-nothing fact we feel it to be. That the you of decades ago and the you of now might be connected more like a rope of overlapping fibers than a single unbroken thread, with no fiber running the whole length. And Daniel Dennett gave it the phrase that haunts me most. The self, he said, is a center of narrative gravity. Not a thing, a point that a story revolves around. A useful fiction the brain spins because a creature that tells a coherent story about itself survives better than one that doesn't. There's a piece of vocabulary from the great memory scientist Endel Tolving that makes this exact. He distinguished knowing a fact about your past from reliving it. And he had a name for that reliving, that sense of mentally traveling back in time and being there again. He called it autonoetic consciousness. It is the thing that makes a memory feel like yours, rather than like a fact in a book. It is, arguably, the deepest signature of selfhood we have. And it is precisely the thing that is constructed, fallible, editable, and, for your first years, missing entirely. So put the pieces down on the table and look at them. If the self is made of memory, and memory is mostly gone, partly invented, and sealed at the source, then the continuous I you have carried your entire life, the one that feels more solid and certain than anything else in your experience, is a story. A curated, edited, partly fictional story, written by an unreliable narrator, about a person most of whose life has been erased. And yet it is also the realest thing you possess. This is the part I genuinely could not resolve, and I've stopped trying to. Because the story isn't a lie sitting on top of the real you. There is no real you underneath it. The story is you. It's all there is. The fiction is the fact. Which flips the whole thing one final time. We started by treating forgetting as a tragedy, the great deletion, the lost days, the locked room. But look again. If you remembered everything, every Tuesday, every commute, every meal, all 15,000 days in full, equal, unedited detail, you would not be more yourself. You would be no self at all. You'd be a flat, undifferentiated archive with no shape, no meaning, no narrative. It's the forgetting that creates the shape. It's the editing that makes the story. The peaks and endings your unreliable narrator keeps, those aren't the corruption of your life. They're the authorship of it. Forgetting isn't a flaw in the story of your life. Forgetting is how the story gets written. Remember that wall I asked you to hit near the start? The point where you ran dry listing your real distinct memories? A few hundred out of 15,000 days? I told you we'd come back to it, and it would mean something different. Here's what it means now. That small pile of clips is not the failure of your memory. It's the finished manuscript. That's the book. That's the whole self, right there. A few hundred pages long, edited down from a life that was thousands of times larger. Everything else was raw footage on the cutting room floor. And the cutting is what made it a film. I find that almost unbearably sad and almost unbearably beautiful in the same breath. And I've decided to just let it be both. Let me leave you where this left me. 2 images, and then I'll get out of your way. The first. Somewhere in the physical matter of your skull, there may sit, encoded and intact, the memory of the first time a person you loved held you. The Yale work and the mouse work together raise the genuine, no longer science fiction possibility that it's still in there. And they raise a question we are going to have to answer this century, not in theory, but in a lab. If those memories physically persist, could we one day build a key to that door? And the harder question, the one underneath it, if we could, should we? What would it do to you to suddenly retrieve in full the experiences that built you before you had any defenses, any words, any self to protect itself? There may be a very good reason the door has no handle. The forgetting might be mercy. We don't know. We're about to find out. And the second image, the one I actually can't shake. The day you are living right now, this exact one, this ordinary Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever it is, the one you're spending partly watching a video about memory, this day is already on its way to joining the deleted majority. By this time next year, almost none of it will have survived. The light in the room, the specific weight of how you feel right now, the precise texture of this minute, gone.
God,
almost all
damn
of it, recoverable by no one, stored
God
nowhere.
damn it.
The only version that will last is whatever fragment your remembering self, that biased, sentimental, fabricating narrator, happens to decide is worth turning into a story. And even that fragment, every time you revisit it, will quietly become something you made up. So here's the question I'll leave on the table, and then the screen's going dark. If you are going to forget almost all of your life, if the experiencing self does the living and gets none of the credit, and the remembering self gets the credit and gets the facts wrong, then what exactly are you living for? The minutes you're actually in, or the story you'll tell?
The fucking goddamn
And the one I really can't answer, the one I want you lying awake with tonight, who exactly are you telling it to?
So goddamn fucking god. So goddamn fucking goddamn Christ. Oh fucking goddamn Christ. Oh fucking goddamn. Holy Ghost, go to hell if I lose another goddamn game. I curse you, Holy Ghost. I curse you if I lose another fucking game. Bitch. Jesus fucking Christ. 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 Now fucking move this goddamn pole down here, so I can dick up that goddamn. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ. Oh, fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus goddamn Christ. God damn it. God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. Jesus fucking Christ. 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 The fucking Christ. Fucking Christ.